Now, the world is full of many people, many cultures, and many nations. So, conversations about diplomatic ties between countries will always be vital. Today, we'll be shining a light on the relationship, the bilateral relationship between the People's Republic of Bangladesh and the country of Nigeria. I've been joined now by the High Commissioner of Bangladesh to Nigeria. He speaks to me about the possibilities for more collaborations in different fields between Nigeria and the People's Republic of Bangladesh. All right, Mr. Masudur Rahman, welcome to Top Talk. All right, let's start with the most recent before we move on to more things between Nigeria and Bangladesh. Recently, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Mr. Issa Pantami, Professor Issa Pantami, pardon me, led a delegation to your country. Can you tell us more about what that visit could lead to?
Thank you, Mr. Amadin. It's a very contemporary and relevant question, and I must say that it is very timely at a time when Bangladesh and Nigeria are both a developing country with a huge demographic dividend and a very young, energetic young workforce who are employed in digital technology and in the expansion of its digital tools. You know, the visit had taken place. So I do believe that the delegation led by Honorable Minister for Communication and Digital Economy, Issa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, and his 15-member delegation that visited Bangladesh had very fruitful talks with Bangladeshi honorable ministers, Honorable Minister for Commerce, His Excellency Mr. Tipu Munshi, as well as Honorable Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, Dr. Abdul Momen, MP. So the talks were devoted to how trade and investment between the two countries can be enhanced. And let me tell you that this is the first ever ministerial level trade mission to Bangladesh, and it had a lot of focus, like the both countries eyed on preferential trade arrangement, as there are huge potentials to bilateral trade, and also there was the focus on the scope of D8, and under the D8, there is the discussion to engage in economic zones for the D8 member countries. And also there are discussions on particularly areas where both countries could engage in potential exchanges of bilateral collaborations in trade and investments in the fields of textile, garments, consumable electronics, in the fields of software, ICT products and solutions, and in the fields of pharmaceuticals. Bangladesh has been currently having a very soaring export, which is on the rise because of the very pragmatic steps taken by the Honorable Prime Minister, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, to reflect the Vision 2041 of the government, which is aiming to becoming a developed and a smart Bangladesh, riding on the policy of digital Bangladesh, which talks about e-commerce, e-governance, e-people, e-society, which talks about creating interface between these four pillars of the digitization. And that are actually gaining a lot of ground in Bangladesh, as our country are riding on a robust macroeconomic stability and a growth, and the GDP growth riding over 7%, despite the war and COVID pandemic. So I think the experiences of Bangladesh and its technological breakthrough and expansion can actually help, the two developing countries for their mutual benefit if there are meaningful partnerships. So in that context, the delegation actually currently visiting, still there are the delegation led by Nigeria Bangladesh Trade and Technology Forum, and its business delegates are still in Bangladesh, and they are visiting the state-of-the-art electronic industries, renewable energy industries, garments and textile industries, and it is likely that from this visit we might have some developments between the two countries, some engagements. And you mentioned about trade, right? The two-way trade between Bangladesh and Nigeria are not increasing, but Bangladeshi export to Nigeria has been increasing since last 2 years. It's going to reach $20 million. It was just less than $5 million. Just there are the momentums generated after some big pharmaceutical delegates who visited, representing 9 leading companies in the MEDIC West Africa in Lagos. So we are working out, and we are also connecting Nigerian businesses, chambers in different states to connect through Zoom meetings, to hybrid meetings, and to seminars, symposiums. And I'm very thankful that the Honorable Minister, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, took a delegation, and I'm really indebted to this delegation because it has impacted tremendously on our bilateral relations.
That's very good to hear. I'm interested in the trade. You mentioned about $20 million. I'm wondering, what makes up the bulk of that trade, really? What is being exchanged?
The pharmaceuticals, textiles, leather goods, household consumable goods, plastic materials, then ceramics. They are actually, Bangladesh makes fine porcelain and bone china, ceramics.
So Nigeria imports more than...
Yeah, actually the quality of our products are well known, as you understand that in the garments and textile industries, we are the second most leading exporter in the world after China. And in the pharmaceutical industries and consumable electronics industries, our export to the global market is touching $1 billion. As a part of our diversifying the export, coming out of the total dependence of garments and textile, other sectors are contributing. ICT sector is eyeing to have a $5 billion by 2025. So we are looking forward to have a $1 billion more market. Already it is touching in the ship building and exporting of ocean-going vessels. We are exporting to foreign countries. So there are some other areas which Bangladesh are doing very good. And you will be happy to know that practically 98% of the pharmaceutical producers that Bangladesh uses or takes in are actually homemade pharmaceutical from the companies, and And also in the electronics, domestic consumable goods, gradually Bangladesh is actually making their own products and selling in the country, and it is about 50-50. Foreign consumable electronics share has dropped to 50%, and our products are gaining more ground as they are state of the art, using the energy efficient inverter technology with those kind of for the air conditioners, then refrigerators, and they make everything actually, from blender machine to iron to LED TV, industrial TV, customized television. That's what I'm talking about. We are making cell phones as well, smart cell phones. There are 2 or 3 companies that are making, and that is actually revolutionizing the spectrum of ICT technology, because it's not about how much mobile telephone you are using, but actually it's about how much smart telephone you are using and connecting. As e-commerce are directly connected to the smartphone technologies. So Bangladeshi producers are making a smartphone available at only less than $50 to the rural women, so they have the access, and so they are being empowered and engaged in real e-commerce and contributing to the economy.
Right, that's really amazing, and I think we have to point out, when we started the conversation, you said Bangladesh and Nigeria are both developing countries. So the question now is, all of these things you've mentioned, how have you been able to achieve it? Because Nigeria is also looking to get to the stage where we export, quite a variety of things and diversify from just oil. You mentioned diversifying away from fabrics and all of that. So how have you achieved all of this? The other day, we had an invitation here for the unveiling of the Padma multi-purpose bridge. We've seen a lot of these things. So how is all this being done? And you're developing
it's true that you mentioned nicely about the Padma multi-purpose bridge, a mega project of our government, that is built by our own financing. We have also unveiled the first phase of the metro rail projects. That's first of its kind in Bangladesh, and it's been inaugurated, and there are huge infrastructural development works are going on. But coming back to your question, how we connect the developing two economies, right? So currently we look at connecting the two peoples through education and training and exchanges between people to people contacts. So we can best do it by collaborations between universities. The High Commission has actually tried to connect collaborations in open and distance learning between the two open universities, namely National Open University of Nigeria and Bangladesh Open University. We have exchanged, but it is still under review. So we have been able to contribute significantly in the military training and exchanges at the level of senior level military officials and mid-level and younger level officials at all levels. And Bangladesh has contributed significantly by so far training almost 500 Nigerian army officials at all categories and from all Navy, Air Force and Army. And now the Foreign Ministry of Bangladesh has extended a scholarship for on a diplomatic one-year training program, fully funded a scholarship to a young and talented Nigerian diplomat, which Nigerian government had kindly consented to, and so Bangladesh will conduct that training as well. And that training will lead up to the master's degree from the prestigious University of Dhaka in international relations and diplomacy. So this will create a huge impact between the two foreign ministries, not to mention that we have also the foreign ministry apparatus already ratified and signed between the two foreign ministries. that is Foreign Office consultations. And also, we have been trying now currently to send a Nigerian delegation in the area of technical, Board of Education, National Board of Technical Education, NBTE. They are going to take a delegation, when we are working on that for a collaborations with the International Institute of Technology, Islamic Institute of Technology in Gazipur. So there are some developments which we are trying to work on, and of course it is important that both countries can have a huge opportunity to exchange vocational and technical cooperations to help improve this platform for engaging in deeper collaborations in terms of technological explorations and technological transfer. Well, in terms of Bangladesh's requirement of or expectations to import products from Nigeria, we are very much looking at agricultural producers like soybean, wheat, ginger. Then we look at the cotton. Also, we look at the producers from petroleums as well as oil and gas, of course. We understand that it is about time that we can hope to do some meaningful engagement. As in Nigeria, I recently found out that under the newly revamped NNPC, being public limited liable company, they have expanded their productions, and I'm sure that with this it would be very much good for our country to look for the importation of those items, as there are huge demand currently. And of course, there are possibility of connecting the two countries through e-commerce. Huge market. Imagine 210 million people and 170 million people. So there are many indigenous products in Nigeria. The kind of products that we see, the artifacts, the kind of traditional products, the fabric also, the Nigerian homegrown fabric can be a demand in Bangladesh, and you can of course get the state-of-the-art cotton as well as fabric, textile, as well as garments and consumables. So in fact, we have ample opportunity if both countries actually prioritize areas and embark upon.
All right, that's really good to hear. Now let's talk about something basic, but something that expands understanding between people. What can you tell us really, for people who might not know, who are seeing you for the first time, about your country, for a Nigerian who wants to really know what is Bangladesh about, would I want to go there for a vacation, what would I see? Those little things that helps people, want to exchange experiences. So what can you really say about Bangladesh to Nigerians who are interested?
Okay. Well, Bangladesh is a riverine country, and it's a very place of scenic beauty, natural beauty. It is green, lush and vibrant. It has varieties of fishes which attracts foreigners. It has varieties of vegetables. The culinary technique are unique in its own feature, and the largest longest sea beach in the world, unhindered, unspoiled, in the southeast at Cox's Bazar. That is a prime attraction. They are the world's largest mangrove forest in the southwest, in Khulna district, my hometown, of course, and part of Borishan. We share it with India, but that's the largest mangrove forest. It's unique in, versatile species of, birds and animals, and so, and there are also tourism which are based on, ecotourism, based on river, based on customs, cultures, and they are unique. I have seen this similar trend in Nigeria. Nigerian tourism also can be similar. They are very much unique in nature, in their cultural tradition and heritage, in the way they eat their foods, and there are some synergy. Like we eat khichuri and you have the jollof rice, and you cook fish with thick spices, little spicy. We also like spicy. So for the Nigerian people, if they travel to Bangladesh, all of them remain so happy. I will tell you one thing. The current delegation that accompanied Honorable Minister Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, a portion of them are still staying in Bangladesh, exploring the industries and the beauty and everything. They are traveling. And our people are very hospitable to our foreigners. They really take care of them, and you suddenly find unknown people and they embrace them like their own brothers and sisters. And we consider Nigeria as a sisterly as well as brotherly country. As we are similar in our nature, we believe in social justice, harmony, and we strive towards that. We believe in democracy, and both countries strive towards that. We believe in secularism, and both countries maintain that, strive towards that. And we have a nationalism that emanates from the soil, that we are Bengalis, Bangladeshis, and you are Nigerians. So these are actually emanating from its own tenet, foundation, ingrained in the constitution of Bangladesh and Nigeria. So this country is unique, two countries. We are in the similar colonial heritage, we are in the Commonwealth, we are in the OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries, we are in the D8 as a developing 8 countries, and we are very close, collaborating with each other in the UN and its bodies, and we always support each other, and we vote even for each other, and we sometimes campaign for each other. So country is so synergic. Our diplomats are very much collaborating with international bodies. So we are seeing a huge opportunities to work here, and a lot of enthusiasm. You will see that generated by wherever I go and mingle with the Nigerian common people, from common people to the dignitaries, and they embrace us like their own, brother or sister. So it's wonderful. I think it's going to only build up and build up. And I tell that this is time for Nigeria and Bangladesh. This is time for Bangladesh and Nigeria, to bridge Asia and Africa. I consider Nigeria as the fulcrum and the golden gate of Africa. Is the gateway of Africa because of its uniqueness, of its culture, heritage, and its political clout in the whole of Africa, and its uniqueness in the position that you are sharing, and it is proper that we have to engage collaboration in all fields. Sports, football is a very commonly popular game, and we have a lot of opportunities.
That's fair. You touched on. I was going to save that question for last. That's the jollof rice question, but I'll still save that because I want to get your thoughts on that. Because Nigerians always want to hear what persons from other countries think about our jollof rice. It's one of our national pride.
Yeah.
But before that, you already touched a little on it. That's culture, the aspect of culture. You know, what can we expect? From between Nigeria and Bangladesh. I say this because in the country now, we see a lot of countries, a lot of embassies that are here, always somehow being involved in cultural events. Take, for instance, the last one, the 15th International Arts and Crafts Expo, which held in Abuja here. I believe you're also part of that. So how can we use culture to, bridge the gap? And are there real prospects there? Because people look at arts, culture as things that are not as important as, technology and trade and all that. But what could culture do for the relationship between the countries?
It can go in many ways. It can be the vehicle to deepen the trade and investment in other way. But first and foremost, we have a cultural MOU and cultural cooperation between two countries pending with the Nigerian side. I have been pushing it. There are, I can tell you that as many as a dozen, close to dozen MOUs and agreements pending. And with that I have mentioned that our government has mentioned, and I think during the visit of Honorable Minister Pantami it was raised that both countries could have initiate the preferential trade arrangement between the two countries, or free trade arrangements between the two countries. So, with cultural delegations and being exchanged on a regular interval, that can be the go ahead as I see it. And I must say that Bangladesh had started it. We sent cultural delegation in 2018, 19, and 2021 was pandemic, and we didn't get a 2022 delegation though, but we look forward to in 2023 for a cultural delegation. But similarly, I call upon the Nigerian side also to look at it, and let's begin the engagements and bring about exchanges of culture and people-to-people contact.
All right, so that's fair enough. Just to round up, even in families, in any kind of relationship, there can be conflicts at times, disagreements, perhaps not between the governments, but between just citizens. So I wonder, what are the frameworks in place? Take, for instance, we had an issue in Bangladesh when some Nigerians said they were arrested and they needed help and all that. Likewise, in Nigeria here, if there are Bangladeshi here and they encounter issues, how are these to be resolved? Because in the recent past, Nigeria had some Nigerians had an issue in another country, and there was this quietness, no reply from the other country. So I want to know, what is it like between Bangladesh and Nigeria and resolving disputes when they arise?
I understand that last few years, I think, you said recent past, but I said last few years is quite smooth, and there is no dispute or no kind of similar situations arose at the people-to-people level, or at the exchanges of people level, or their engagement in each other's countries, and it has been possible because both countries actually engaged themselves and had meaningful discussions, and definitely there are a meaningful, gradually, a very there are a small though, but very meritorious Nigerian community already, because they are students,
Mm.
and many of them, some of them are doing the, master's degree there, and some of them are engaged in business, of course, and I understand that ultimately it is diaspora. As we are talking about relationship, it is diaspora. They actually bring about the major changes and spikes in bilateral relations. So we have to be, understanding certain framework, and it can begin from the level of, official and diplomatic level, because there is no, on-arrival visa arrangement for the officials and diplomatics.
Mm.
So I think we should begin that, and then we should gradually expand it to the businessmen who will be, and then it can gradually fall in place.
Right.
That's how I see it. And then I do believe that there are a lot of business exchanges, trade fairs between each other countries, and we have been able to send Nigerian delegations, and from my tenure I also been able to send Bangladeshi delegation. But I think the frequency has to be more, so that more exchanges can take place.
Nice.
So those are the things that can actually bring about real changes in the bilateral trade and commerce and people-to-people exchanges.
Thank you very much. This has been really an encouraging episode. So I'll end it with this. Like I said before, you've been in Nigeria a while now.
Yeah.
What is your experience with, the Nigerian jollof rice, and also with our music and entertainment? Do you have any takeaways?
I think that both are synergic in Bangladeshi spirit. The people in Bangladesh are the ones who are the connoisseur of food and music. Same is here. So the jollof rice is exquisite and it's remarkable in my understanding. And if you tell me to compare between a true jollof rice and a khichdi, I might be very much, swaying, which one to be the best, of course. Not to mention that we have biryani, but jollof is jollof. It's unique. And then in terms of music and culture, Nigerians are very, very talented in music. Music is in their blood, and I really admire the young generation. Many of them have happened to become, global, musicians.
Do you have any favorite? Sorry to put you on the spot there.
No, I can't, because it will be showing sides.
All right, that's good enough. Thank you very much for the interview and for telling us more about the plans between Nigeria and Bangladesh. Hopefully, they'll come true someday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.